Tatterhood by Laura Irwin. Once upon a time there was a queen who desperately wanted a child. The queen met a witch who said she could give her the baby she always wanted. The witch gave the queen 2 pails of water and told her, "Bathe in these pails of water and then go to sleep. In the morning you will find 2 flowers, one rare and one fair. Eat the fair flower and leave the rare one. Then you will have the child you've always wanted." In the morning the queen ate the fair flower. However, it was so delicious that she wanted to eat the rare flower as well, and she did so against the witch's warnings. Soon the queen gave birth to 2 daughters. The first was a large, gangly child with wild hair who screamed from the moment her lungs could breathe air. The first child spoke and called herself Tatterhood. She assured her mother, "Do not worry, for my sister will be the precious baby you have always wanted, and I will always be there to protect her." The second was a delicate, beautiful child who opened her eyes and smiled warmly at the queen. The queen's second precious-looking baby she named Isabel. Isabel and Tatterhood grew up having adventures and exploring together. They were best friends. The queen loved both children, but she didn't understand Tatterhood. Tatterhood was loud and independent, had messy hair and clothes, and didn't fit her mother's idea of a princess. The queen didn't want Isabel, the soft and beautiful young princess, to be like her sister. She tried to keep the sisters apart, and she would be much harder on Tatterhood than Isabel. Tatterhood and Isabel's 13th birthday fell on the festival of midsummer. As they danced and sang, Tatterhood ruined her dress and got twigs in her flower crown, while Isabel flirted with eligible young princes and gained the compliments of all those who saw her. The night after the festival, when the castle was quiet, trolls invaded the castle grounds. The queen gathered her 2 daughters and hid inside the castle passageways. But Tatterhood decided to fight the trolls, instead of staying hidden. The queen was flabbergasted and started to yell. Tatterhood never listens or behaves properly. After hearing the queen talk about Tatterhood, Isabel snuck out of hiding to make sure her older sister was okay. She found Tatterhood fighting the trolls. Isabel saw a troll wizard readying a spell aimed at her sister. She ran forward and was hit by the blast of magic meant for Tatterhood. It transformed her into a cat. Tatterhood, in anger, fought the trolls back and retreated inside the castle with her sister. The queen was heartbroken when she could not find Isabel. In her anger and sadness, the queen blamed Tatterhood. Isabel snarled and said, "Mother, I am Isabel. What happened to me was not Tatterhood's fault. She fought the trolls back from our home." Tatterhood picked up Isabel and set out to restore her sister. Together, Tatterhood and Isabel went to the witch who gave the queen the flowers. She told them, "Only the wizard who cast the spell can restore Princess Isabel to her human shape." So the 2 sisters readied a ship and headed out to Troll Island, where they hoped to find the wizard. When they reached Troll Island, Tatterhood immediately ran from the ship and charged down the beach into the forest to face the trolls head-on. She had always heard the tales the guards would tell of the palace. She had always heard the tales the guards would tell at the palace about how the trolls lived in the deepest, darkest part of the forest. So that was where she started. Isabel meowed, nervous that her sister was charging into unknown land without a plan. In her haste, Tatterhood stepped into quicksand and became stuck, her legs sinking deeper and deeper into the dark mud. Isabel leapt from the boat and found that she could climb the trees quite easily. She had never been permitted to climb trees, as her sister had done, as she was thought to be too fragile and her mother feared for her. She jumped up to the branch with a large vine wrapped around it and was able to bite the vine in half, allowing it to hang down low enough for Tatty to grab and pull herself free. Isabel met her sister at the bottom and chastised her. "Meow, you should think before acting." Tatterhood snapped. "Thinking will not get us out of this predicament," but relented when she saw she would have been swallowed by the quicksand if it had not been for her sister's clever thinking. The 2 sisters traveled through the forest together, Isabel using the trees to see where they were going, while Tatterhood kept to the forest floor to scan for enemies. After some time, Isabel alerted her sister and there was a strange clearing ahead. Isabel jumped down from the tree to join her sister, and the two headed to the clearing, side by side. Right as they were about to enter the clearing, they heard a twang. A net hidden in the leaves captured Tatty and Isabel. They realized they had been surrounded by trolls with arrows, spears, axes, and swords. One of them stepped forward. He appeared older than the rest, and carried a gnarled walking stick. It was the troll wizard who had cast the spell on Isabel. Isabel snarled at the wizard. Tatterhood declared, "I am the princess whose castle was attacked. I demand you return my beloved sister back to her human form." The troll wizard smiled. "I will grant you that I will grant I will grant your wish, but I require 2 truths from the soul." Stunned, Tatterhood threw a rock at his head and said, "I wish to duel you." But the troll wizard shook his head. "You humans are all the same. We once inhabited your kingdom, but were banished to this island. I require 2 truths, one from the rare and the other from the fair." He smiled, showing his gnarled teeth. Tatterhood snarled at him, "I despise broccoli." The troll wizard merely laughed and said, "It must be from the soul." Tatterhood looked down into a puddle at her feet, at her reflection. Her buck teeth and scraggly hair stared back at her. "I wish I was born the fair one," she said, as the tears dropped down on her face. "That way my mother would love me like she loves Isabel, and I could make friends." Isabel looked up at Tatterhood and said, "That's not true. I've always wanted to be the rare one. I want to run and climb and be free and adventurous, but no one would ever allow me, saying I must be a lady." The troll smiled and stated, "Take what you learned today back to your kingdom, and the debt is paid." The net was dropped, Isabel transformed back into a human, and Tatterhood ran and hugged her sister. While the girls were away, the queen thought about her 2 daughters. She thought about what the witch said about one being rare and the other being fair. She began to miss Tatterhood's antics, and realized she was just trying to protect her home. The queen had always put more value into being fair, but she began to see how Tatterhood was strange, but she was brave and fierce. She was indeed very rare and a wonderful daughter. When the girls returned back to the castle, the queen acknowledged that she was always so hard on Tatterhood, but she loved both girls. She apologized to Tatterhood for not understanding and treating her unfairly. Isabel told her mother, "I'm 13 now. I love you, but I can take care of myself, and I want the freedom to explore." The queen smiled and said, "Of course, as long as Tatty joins us in court and learns dancing with us." Tatterhood wrinkled her nose and smiled. Tatterhood and Isabel were allowed to spend more time together, and Tatterhood taught Isabel how to sail, while Isabel and her mother included Tatterhood in courtly duties. They all lived happily ever after.